Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thank you for joining today's listening session with SBA 504 lenders. Please note that all participant lines will be muted until the comment portion of the presentation. I'll provide you with instructions on how to make a comment at that time. You are welcome to submit written comments throughout the presentation, and these will be addressed when we reach the comment section. To do so, use the Notes tab on the bottom right-hand side of your screen and address your question to all moderators. If you require technical assistance, please send a note to all moderators or call the help desk at 888-796-6118. And with that, I'll turn the call over to Amber Chaudhry, Presidential Management Fellow. Amber, please go ahead.
Thanks, Debbie. Next slide, please. Good afternoon. I am Amber Chaudhry, Presidential Management Fellow at the U.S. Small Business Administration. I'd like to thank you so much for joining us for this listening session and webinar so that we can get feedback on your experiences with and perceptions of the SBA. Next slide, please. The SBA is holding a series of listening sessions with each of our stakeholders. It is our hope that these discussions will help us better understand how we complement each other's services, how we can better distinguish ourselves in the mind of the entrepreneur, as well as an opportunity to uncover any gaps in service provision. This session is about hearing from you. The SBA will be in listen-only mode. After the session, I will be preparing a report for SBA leadership to help inform decisions on improving marketing and programs. Since there are so many people on the call and only 60 minutes, here's how this is going to work. For each topic area that was listed in the registration form, we're going to spend 2 to 3 minutes sharing some responses that were provided to us during the registration process. We'll use these comments as springboards for discussion, opening up to the floor for 5 to 10 minutes to those who would like to offer additional information or a reflection of their own. We may ask for clarification to make sure we understand you correctly, but we're really hoping to operate in listen-only mode and keep the floor as much as possible. Just for your awareness that I am in the Office of Communications and Public Liaison, therefore I cannot give you specific answers on some of the more specific questions. But if you're signed into the webinar, you're welcome to submit comments and questions at any time to our moderator. And if there's anything else you'd like to share, please email reimagine@sba.gov. Lastly, I'd like to note that the session will be recorded so that we can be fully engaged in listening to your feedback rather than taking notes. And with that, let's move on to the meeting agenda. Next slide, please. So the meeting agenda of today is the same that was on the registration form. The topic areas include benefits and challenges of being an SBA lender, factors that may affect the volume of SBA guaranteed loans your institution makes, degrees to which SBA is discussed or mentioned during your interaction with borrowers, opportunities to promote other SBA programs and services while interacting with borrowers, small business owners, for example, while making an SBA guaranteed loan, enhancing SBA lender relations and activities, exposure to and collaboration with SBA resource partners, that is, SCORE, Small Business Development Centers, Women's Business Centers, and Veterans Business Outreach Centers, followed by any additional comments that you all have, and then we'll move on to closing thoughts. And with that, let's move on to the first topic area. So benefits and challenges of being an SBA lender. I received a lot of comments, so it was hard for me to pick and choose. So if you don't see your comment here, please don't be offended. But here are some of the comment highlights that I received. 504 is too complicated to process and submit. CAFS has made the submission online, which is good. However, at the end of the day, this is a real estate loan, and the way data has to be submitted is too complex. Too many forms and cover sheets that just reiterate what the credit memo already says. Benefit of adding high-yield loan products to the bank's balance sheet. Negative perception of SBA, tightening credit standards, long approval times, individual SBA underwriter interpretation of the SOP, inability to have a discussion, verbal on the telephone, on a complex transaction, SBA regulations and policies, lack of communication and partnership between SBA central processing and the CDC community, SLPC inconsistency. If a loan is screened out, then if those issues are addressed, there shouldn't be additional ones. SBA has now taken their underwriting to another level. We go through underwriting, TPL underwriting, loan committee approvals, sometimes BOD approvals, yet SBA has turned themselves into the lender of last resort. Challenges: amount of paperwork involved. Things we are asked from the SLPC once an application is submitted that do not appear to be required by the current SOP. Inconsistency between underwriters at SLPC. Communication with SLPC is slow, indirect, and responses vague at times and does not answer question asked. OCRM requiring that the CDC's written policies regurgitate the SOP. Benefit: allows me to do deals I would not otherwise be able to consider. Challenge: borrower perceptions. A lot of borrowers have the perception that an SBA guarantee will slow down the loan process, mostly because they are thinking of the SBA of 10 years ago or more. I'm constantly reassuring them that this has not been the case for a long time. Public perception: occasional inconsistencies in responsiveness, inconsistencies in interpretation of the rules. Public perception that 7A is a better program. Our CDC is frustrated that when SBA finds questionable practices occurring at one or two CDCs, that the agency cracks down hard on the entire industry. Please deal with the rogues who are pushing the boundaries and let us continue operating in the honest and above-board manner we have always done in the past. Main challenge is getting the 504 story out to borrowers. And at this time, we will open the line for additional feedback or comments. Please note that we only have 5 or 8 minutes for this topic. Please keep your comments brief so we can hear from as many people as possible, and you can also submit written comments at any time.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to make a verbal comment, please press #2 on your telephone keypad. You will hear a notification when your line is unmuted, and at that time you can state your comment. As a reminder to send in a written note, please use the Notes tab on the bottom right-hand side of your screen and address your note to all moderators.
So I just received a comment that said, thoughts on why CDCs are required to spend the time and money on independent loan reviews during years they have on-site program audits. I believe that's a question, and I am in a different office, the Office of Communications and Public Liaison, so I don't have any specific answers for you. I don't want to misspeak on behalf of the Office of Capital Access. So if you all have any specific questions you'd like answered, please email reimagine@sba.gov. But at this time, the topic area is benefits and challenges of being a SBA lender, so we would love to hear feedback from you all. I got another comment that says, we're not a hub for borrowers and entrepreneurs. Centers of influence are stemmed from relationships with banks and brokers, both of which prefer the 7A largely due to time and fee structure. I have another comment that says, I agree, submitting a 504 loan through CAFS is a lengthy process. I have many issues trying to find forms needed and an authorization to work on my computer as versions are different. I have another comment that says, these comments are very true. The SLPC needs to open communication channels. If they would pick up the phone, deals would be approved much quicker, and this would improve the applicant perception. Thank you all for your feedback. And just a reminder that you can press #2 at any time to unmute your line if you guys would like to give a verbal comment. I have another written comment that says, interactions with SLPC have become increasingly adversarial over the years. It feels less and less like the staff at SLPC are lending partners of the CDCs. Debbie, I think Linda Riley is trying to get into the verbal queue. Linda, if you could press #2. So I have another comment that says, SBA seems quicker to decline loans for issues that previously addressed as a screen out. I'm going to give it one more minute for any additional feedback on benefits and challenges of being an SBA lender before we move on to the second topic. I have a comment that says, I think we must treat SLPC like a partner first in order for them want to be partners with us. From my perspective, over the last couple of years, SLPC has very much improved their process and communication. Thank you for your comment. I have a challenge that says, challenge, new interpretations to policy issued through the SLPC decision process rather than through the policy-making process. Make it difficult to set expectations with borrowers and lenders. And another comment that says, the center needs to be operated similar to a bank call center, and the CDCs should be treated as customers. Right now, CDCs are treated as an enemy. We all have the same common goal, help small business. The center needs to live and breathe this goal and remember who their delays affect. Another comment that says, Fresno Servicing Center does not respond to CDC questions and gives inconsistent responses. And another comment that says, it appears as if SBA has gone to policy by PowerPoint philosophy. There are a number of rules that will make loans ineligible that are not in the SOP anywhere, but can only be found on random PowerPoints. And again, another comment that says SBA SOP is creating policy that is above the realm of regulation. For example, requiring an additional 5% injection for a second 504 project for a special purpose building. This is not required in the regulations. Thank you all for your feedback. I'm going to give it 30 more seconds before we move on to the next topic area. I have a comment that just came in that says, we are a small CDC staff of 3 with a 504 portfolio of $40 million. In the past 12 months, in addition to our annual report and independent loan review, we have had jobs creation review, a SAR. These take so much time for executive director. And then another comment is a simple issue is predictability of outcome. This has become more challenging for all SBA programs in general with policy changes. And another comment that says, we are recently told by SLPC that they did not have time to discuss a declined application despite the decline message from SLPC, listing incorrect information for the decline. When we pointed this incorrect information out, we were told via email to just resubmit, and no one had time to discuss the issue over the phone. And then I have a comment that says, is anyone from SBA planning to respond to the comments being made in this webinar? Again, I am in the Office of Communications and Public Liaison. I don't want to misspeak for any of the program offices. I will forward some of your comments and questions to the Office of Capital Access if you'd like them to answer it. And again, you can email reimagine@sba.gov if you all have any specific questions. And our last comment is, I have also had SLPC state that when items were not sent and when I told them they were sent, I was told to send them again, being punished in screen out when items were sent in the first time. Thank you for your comment. And then I have another comment that says, would true examples help assist with changes in communication? At this time, I am going to move on to the next topic area for the sake of time. So next slide, please. Factors that may affect the volume of SBA guaranteed loans your institution makes. Here are some of the comment highlights that I received. Complexity of the submission process and willingness of TPL to do 504s instead of 7As. Too much board oversight requirements for small volume of CDC. We are in an area that has high tourism and the need to make hospitality industry loans. SBA does not seem to look at the locale of the CDCs to determine feasibility portfolio concentration levels. CDCs across the U.S. should not all be put in one box when it comes to SMART, OCRM, etc. We are also a small CDC, and the OCRM requirements sometimes create unnecessary hardship on us. SBA has allowed CDCs to be multi-state, and we have large CDCs conducting business in our state. Even when they don't have a physical presence in the state, they typically offer a lower CDC percent fee, which they can do because they don't have an overhead expense in our state. It is taking business away from our local CDCs. The multi-state CDC typically is not knowledgeable of our market either. Other SBA loans offered are hard to compete against. competition, lender perceptions of government programs. It appears that the current SLPC practice regarding criminal history is to screen out or decline loans where any infractions are revealed in the LexisNexis report. We have had screen-outs where the only offenses were minor traffic violations that were not an issue. It appears that SLPC is not consistently reviewing the content of the reports before screening out or declining the loan. Since SLPC is not providing the information used for their funding, we lack the ability to work with our borrowers to address the issue since we are unaware of the issues. SBA loan volume has increased only nominally or not at all, but SBA is willing to add players to my market, which decreases the market share of CDCs actually located in the state. These expansions are considered without consulting the existing CDCs and jeopardize actual employment of CDC personnel located in the state for someone who will have little or no employment impact. More players does not actually increase volume by itself, especially in the post-Great Recession era. Misinformation from other lenders at 7A is better for projects than 504. Inaccurate details on 504 fees and rates. Businesses naturally go to their bankers first for information. Sometimes the information given at banks is not entirely correct. And at this time, we do have another 5 to 8 minutes to spend on this topic area. And again, the topic is factors that may affect the volume of SBA guaranteed loans your institution makes. So feel free to comment on any of the comments that are on the slide, or if you have any additional comments, you can, again, unmute your line by pressing #2 or submitting a written comment. I have one comment here that says, the amount of information required hurts the program. Some borrowers will not use the program due to the overwhelming requirements for the program. Another comment that says, small businesses value speed of service and are willing to pay a higher rate to get a quicker decision. The 504 process needs to be modernized for quicker turnaround both in approval and closing. Another comment that says, lender will move toward the 7A program because they are overly incentivized to do so because of the high secondary market premiums. In addition, benefiting the lender and the bank versus the community we serve. Another comment that says the complexity of 504 refi regulations hamper the ability of CDCs to compete these types of loans. If they would go back to the regulations of 2011 and 2012, our volume would go up because we would actually be able to use the program. A 504 Express program should be established for smaller deals similar to the 7A Express. Thank you all for your comments. Another comment that says this SBA 7A is the #1 competition, and sometimes it seems the big banks offering 7A don't offer the 504 loan as an option. Unfortunately, if a banker gets paid more for a 7A loan, they may go that route, even if it isn't the best option for the small business. I'm going to give it another minute or two if anyone else has any comments that they'd like to provide for factors that may affect the volume of SBA guaranteed loans that your institution makes. I did receive a comment that says, consumer confidence in all SBA products. At times there is a disconnect within the agency as to wanting credit quality while also wanting lender of the last resort. The imbalance creates difficulty in determining how to best deliver the product. I agree that 504 RIFI eligibility box is still too small. We see many good projects that we have to turn down due to minor eligibility issues. 504 RIFI program needs to be addressed. A small CDC can make a new $5 million loan but can't refi this amount if their last year volume was not high enough. This is unfair and rule favors larger CDCs. Why? Thank you all for your comments. I'll give it one more minute before we move on to the next topic area. All right, let's move on to the next slide, please. I did just get a couple more comments on the last slide. Some borrowers don't agree with the EPC OC lease requirements restricting rent payments versus market rent. Finding loans that are eligible is very difficult. It is hard for the CDC to be definitive because of subjective and inconsistent analysis conducted by the SLPC. The very nature of the loans that banks are willing to work with us on are going to be the kind of loans that the SBA considers too risky. So the next topic area is the degree to which SBA is discussed or mentioned during your interactions with borrowers. Here are some of the comment highlights that I received. SBA is a constant topic as we interact with borrowers. Most of the topics are related to the favorable terms for SBA 504 and the success of the Community Advantage program. 100% and almost always negative. We spend a great deal of time selling the benefit of the 504 program and our involvement to overcome negative perception of SBA. Frequently, many of the small businesses we work with initially have a bad impression of SBA. Paperwork, restrictions, timing, that has to be overcome. Our role as a CDC is to make this process smooth and efficient and change that misperception. The more SBA can do to keep programs efficient and to review applications with an eye towards reasonableness versus rigidity, the more we can continue to improve program reputation and use. And again, at this time, we do have 5 minutes to spend on this topic area. If anyone would like to clarify any comments on the slide or to provide any additional comments, you can unmute your line again by pressing #2 or continue to submit written comments. All right, I'm not seeing any comments. I'm going to wait maybe 30 more seconds before we move on to the next topic area. I have a comment that says, it's unfortunate the public perception of anything with the government involvement likely has some issues. We approach the benefits of SBA is the ability to secure a superior product than what may have been afforded conventionally. Thank you for your comment. All right, with that, we're going to move on to the next slide. I did receive another comment that says, although this was discussed previously in topic number 1, I think positive CDC interactions with SLPC would do much to increase the positive perception of the SBA 504 program. If CDC employees had a more positive experience working with the program, then this perception would more consistently be passed on to the borrowers. And then also a comment that says bankers are bringing up more negative comments regarding 504. Thank you both for your comments. I am going to move on to the next topic area, which is opportunities to promote other SBA programs and services while interacting with borrowers and small business owners. For example, while making an SBA guaranteed loan. Here are some of the comment highlights that I received. Export especially. Most often, we recommend our borrowers to consult with the local Small Business Development Centers or SCORE. In addition, we also refer our borrowers to these programs when we anticipate issues with the business continuity or troubled credits. We also refer borrowers to the 7A programs or SBA Express when the borrower is in need of financing not eligible under the 504 program. And then the last comment that says, there is always ways to promote other SBA programs and services, but having support materials would benefit this process. And again, we do have 5 to 10 minutes to spend on this topic area. If you guys would like to unmute your line, press #2. Otherwise, written comments are fine. I can speak about support materials, which we are working on developing for you all. And again, the topic area is opportunities to promote other SBA programs and services while interacting with borrowers and small business owners. I'm just going to give it 30 seconds to a minute before we move on to the next topic area. All right, let's move on to the next slide. I did receive a comment that says joint effort between the CDCs and the local district offices, I think, would be very beneficial. It would be nice to hear more from the district offices and be engaged more with them. Sometimes we don't hear from our district office until the last minute. That is difficult. 2 other comments. It says, it It would be helpful for the SBA lender specialists who are also fully trained in all the SBA products. For example, we were at a roundtable where the SBA rep was quoting misinformation regarding not only the 504 programs but a few others. And then another comment that says the challenge when you are presenting a complicated product is not overwhelming the applicant. We defer to districts or other service providers when helpful. And then the last comment says, microloans and working capital loans are a big opportunity. Okay, so the next topic area is enhancing SBA lender relations and activity. Here are some of the comment highlights that I got. SBA needs to be more accessible for new users of E-Tran for 504 submission. The guidelines provided are not comprehensive and should be step-by-step with screenshots. Marketing of SBA loans to the public needs to be amped up. Having a live contact at SLPC to discuss possible projects with. I have not found that my district office, as a general statement, can answer my detailed project questions. Lastly, improve the customer service focus of SLPC. Work with us, not against us. We are supposed to be on the same team. Sometimes communication with SBA staff is a challenge when asking questions because not all loan borrower issues are black or white but gray. I can read the SOP, but it may not fully address the issue, and I feel that SBA employee just wants to give the most generic answer possible so he or she can move on. If 7A questions is there truly to support the lenders, then sometimes they need to dig a little deeper, pick up the phone, and have a conversation. And again, at this time, we have 5 to 8 minutes to spend on this topic area. Feel free to clarify anything on the slide or to continue to submit written comments. And then, again, you can press pound 2 to unmute your line. In the meantime, I did get a couple comments that says, agree, need better training for E-Tran. It has been very difficult knowing what needs to be completed in session. And then another comment that says, more often than not, when questions are asked to SLPC regarding eligibility on a potential loan, the response is to submit a complete application and then they will make a determination. That is an enormous amount of work for something that might not even be eligible. Thank you all for your comments. And again, the topic area is enhancing SBA lender relations and activity. We've gotten some great comments so far, so thank you all for your feedback. We do have some more time to spend on this topic area if anyone else would like to offer up their comments. I got something that says SBA and CDCs can do a better job meeting in the middle between serving small businesses, getting to yes, and protecting the interests of the program and SBA. Another comment that says, have staff from the SPLC attend NACO meetings. Have CDCs visit the center. If we all understand what we are up against, maybe it will all bring us together. Another comment that says, it would be nice for SBA to utilize their CDC partners more, inviting us to participate as speakers at events, not just attendees. Example, joint promotion of SBA products, not just bankers talking about 7A, how sometimes they do a 504. Thank you all for your comments so far.
Reminder to submit a written comment. Please use the Notes tab on the bottom right-hand side of your screen and address your notes to all moderators. And if you prefer to make a verbal comment, please press pound 2 on your telephone keypad.
More training with the SLPC would be beneficial. The SLPC Credit Memo Conference that happened a couple years back was extremely helpful. More opportunities like that would be great. I have a comment that says, open discussions such as this are great. Thank you. Well, we really appreciate your feedback. I know you all wish that, you were hearing more from us, but this opportunity is really just about hearing from you all and your pain points and perceptions of the SBA. Again, for anyone who joined late, I will be putting together a report on these comments and submitting it to top SBA leadership, and this will help inform decisions to improve both our marketing efforts and our program. So thank you all for your comments. I got another comment that says, we get many comments from borrowers and lenders during the servicing action requirements that the SBA process is too difficult and arduous and is turning them against the program. Another comment that says, this is an awesome opportunity, but only if SBA listens and make corrections soon. Thank you for your comment. I'll give it another minute or two for any other comments to come in, and then we'll move on to the next topic. All right, let's move on to our last topic area. So next slide, please. Exposure to and collaboration with SBA resource partners, that is SCORE, Small Business Development Centers, Women's Business Centers, and Veterans Business Outreach Centers. Here are some of the comment highlights that I got. These are definitely an area where we could learn more, in my opinion, primarily SBTDC. We have had great success partnering with SBA San Francisco District and SBDCs to do lending seminars. More commitment from resource partners to work with CDCs. We are currently negotiating a partnership with SCORE to coordinate and facilitate finance-related training opportunities on our site in our training center. We invited the WBC Executive Director to serve on our Board of Directors and unfortunately have very little interaction with the MD SBDC Capital Region. So again, this is our last topic area for today. I'm going to give it 5 minutes. If you all would like to submit any additional comments, feel free to unmute your line by pressing #2 or continue to send in written comments. So I'm going to open it up since we do have some additional time. If you all have any additional comments that you would like to share, if you want to go back to the earlier topic areas, if you would like to submit a public comment for anything else that I may have missed, feel free to do that at this time. And the comment that says, some sort of online marketplace that ties together these resources with CDCs might be beneficial. We have guest 12 that raised his hand if we could unmute his line. In the meantime, I did get another comment that says, we are fortunate to work with our branch office in partnering with the Emerging Leaders Program. We have found it very successful. Guest 12, if you want to go ahead with your comment. All right, I'm just going to give it a minute or two if anyone else would like to submit any additional comments, and then I'll move into the closing areas. All right, let's just go ahead and move to the next slide. Oh, I did receive a comment that says, I don't understand why direct communication with Little Rock regarding a service issue is not a problem, but Sacramento seems reluctant to clarify over the phone. Thanks for your comment. So I am moving into the closing thoughts. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us on this call. We appreciate you sharing your insight and personal experiences of SBA with us today. We don't get to hear from our stakeholders often enough, and we hope to have more opportunities to gather feedback from you all in the future. As we mentioned on the onset, if you feel there's an angle we missed or additional information you'd like to share that you think would be helpful to us, please email reimagine@sba.gov. Again, thank you for sharing your perceptions and valuable time with us today.
Thank you to our presenter, and thank all of the participants for joining today's conference. The session has now concluded, and you may disconnect.